welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon now for recent trends in noncompliance. So we're going to go through the objectives and then get talking about some of the different agencies and their perspectives and some of the things that we are seeing, well, that they're seeing. And they do align to an extent, obviously, with what we are seeing when we're out there auditing. So I wanted to get a quick, so what we will be reviewing is as we will be looking at the different regulatory agencies and what they're seeing. Some of the information, some of the agencies are more current with their information that they provide publicly. Others are less so. But taken as a whole, we can see an emerging pattern in terms of what we are seeing from a compliance standpoint. So we will look at, as Jennifer mentioned, recent Food and Drug Administration regulations or regulatory agency responses, the EMA, Health Canada, the Medicines and Products Regulatory Authority, MHRA in the UK, and PMDA in Japan. So the findings for investigators, sponsors, and IRBs as they do provide those. As I said, some are more forthcoming than others, and we certainly would welcome any insight that you are seeing in your area as well. So we will look at the areas of compliance concentration for those regulatory agencies, what factors might helping drive those agencies to present that approach. A lot of the things that we see here in the States, for example, the FDA also gets inspected by the Office of Inspector General, and oftentimes their regulatory review focus is borne out by what the regulatory agency itself is finding as a deficit. We'll look at best practices for responding to a regulatory communication. So really the FDA puts out those warning letters or those other regulatory communications and they expect a response. We have seen MHRA start putting out more of those letters. However, the concern, of course, is not receive one of those letters. How do we make sure that we have established our quality systems so that we are addressing issues proactively? Module 1. What does the FDA inspect? The FDA is looking at the integrity of clinical research data and the protection of human research participants who are involved in the clinical studies that are producing the results that will be submitted to the agency for assessment, for approval of that application of that product, and they're going to assess the safety and efficacy data. They certainly want to make sure that the individuals from whom data is collected have been protected. Who is inspected? So the FDA can inspect institutional review boards, sponsors, CROs, monitors, clinical investigator sites, as well as others. But our focus is going to be on those entities under the Bioresearch Monitoring Information System and Program. So the FDA's BIMO program, the FDA has compliance program guidance manuals for how they go about conducting those inspections. And they're available to us that really are the FDA's standard operating procedures, if you will, on how they conduct those inspections. So the Bioresearch Monitoring Program for the Centers for Drug Evaluation and Research, Biologics Evaluation and Research, and Devices and Radiological Health. This is who we are talking about when we talk about the FDA doing inspections for GCP. We certainly have GMP inspections as well. So what are the trends in inspections? Where are the resources going when we provide resources to the FDA to conduct these inspections? What are their approaches, and do their results align with what you are seeing in your audits or inspections? So as we mentioned, it should not be a surprise that what the regulatory agencies are finding when they go out and conduct these inspections align with what we see as well. You will see that the FDA's inspections classified in fiscal year 2019 are pretty broad. We look at the BIMO inspection classification by center. If we look at the top 3 lines, we see CBER for our biologics evaluation and research, CDER for our drugs, and CDRH for our medical devices. And you see that the clinical investigator classifications are the highest across the board, and then particularly within the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research. Now, these these classifications occurred in fiscal year 2019, but it does not necessarily mean that that is when the inspection occurred. But we see here clinical investigators in the columns, IRBs, sponsors, monitors, and CROs, sponsor investigators, so for our investigator-initiated studies, and this is the new metric that the FDA has been providing to us, good laboratory practice, bioequivalence, and our PADEs and REM, so that is our post-marketing safety tracking and registration for our pharmaceutical products.